Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network from magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Well, hi, welcome everyone to the iNetrepreneur Network's iNetrepreneur Radio Show. My name is Robert Jones. I am the owner and the founder of the iNetrepreneur Network, which started back in 2011, and it was called Network Together back then. It was a place where all entrepreneurs could come to learn, earn, and learn how to earn. And what I'm really excited about, it's one day removed from the day that we had the book launch, The Art of Connection, 365 days of networking quotes by entrepreneurs, business owners, and influencers. And it was an incredible turnout last night. We had nearly 150 authors and friends come celebrate the launch of our book, which has been #1 in many different categories. So I'm very excited about that. And another thing I'm excited about is it also showed that we were in the top 100% of 1% in all the books of Amazon, which has, 33 million books at this time. But what I really wanted to talk about is today, we talk about connections all the time, and some people really pursue connections and other people maybe not so much. And it got me thinking about what role does belief have in the pursuit of connections? And I think if you believe that connections matter and that they have meaning, that you will pursue those connections. And today I have 3 guests, and we're going to talk a little bit about what connections mean to them, what it also means with them being in the book, and also, get a little behind the scenes story of who they are and what they do. But I also want to talk about, something other. We do have the book, and if anyone is interested in having a copy, I'm going to put a banner up here just really quickly. Again, it's the Art of Connection 365 Days of Networking Quotes by Entrepreneurs, Business Owners, and Influencers. And you can go to mybook.to/Art of Connection. Again, that's mybook.to/Art of Connection. And there you will get golden nuggets of nearly 180 different authors from all around the world. I mean, we had authors from India and authors from England and Ireland and Canada, our friends up north and many more countries. So we're really excited about that. So if you're looking to get a good read, it's very easy. Every day has a different author with a different quote, a different thought, and then a question for you to muse on. What a great way to start off or even end any day. And for some of us, I've heard they're going out and buying the book and using it as even a discussion with their networks and their members and their clients. So I really like that. But to start off today's show, I'm really excited to have with me, I have Mr. Dan Khuu of Pro AZ Safety Specialist. Hey, good afternoon, Dan.
How are you doing today, Robert?
I am doing really well. I'm glad you're on the show with me here. I'm just doing a little production over here on the side, but yeah, welcome to the show. How are you again?
Hey, everything's been going great on our side, and the book launch was definitely a fantastic event. We're just thrilled and honored to be part of the book, and just everything that you all have put together and have kind of helped produce for the entrepreneur community has just been a blessing all the way around.
Yeah, and a lot of, and this really didn't start out as something that was going to go international. It really was something that I wanted to put together because over the last few years, in every week we have a quote and we have a thought and a question that our members go over, and we participate this for a few years now. And I thought, what a great thing is to put that book together and share it with the world as kind of a give back to our own community. Little did I know that it would start going viral in such a short period of time, and it ended up in 12 different countries, authors around the world in 25 states. So we're really excited about that. And you were in the book as well. What date, and do you remember your quote?
I specifically remember it was on August 1st. And my quote was essentially that too many times we're taking the decisions that we make every day, and we're making it based on how it positively uplifts our income, where we should be considering how it would positively affect our outcome. And that's been a huge part of my life, because it came a few years ago when it was, I was at a crossroads in my career, and I felt that I had been making the decisions just purely based off of salary and off of money. And, at the end of the day, I didn't feel like I made a positive difference in the world. And that is what is really something that I always wanted to do. I strive to be a better person and a positive influence to the people around me. And the decisions I had made up to that point, I honestly can't say that it felt like I was heading in that direction.
Well, I've seen you create a lot of impact with all those around you. What I really like about you, as I always say when I talk about Dan, he is the one who delivers extra. If it's a conversation, you provide extra value. If it's a connection, you provide extra information. If it's your client, it's extra service, so they get the best out of what you offer with Pro AZ safety specialist. But you haven't always been with Pro AZ specialist. You actually had a career before the career that you're in now, and part of that, you were actually a radio host too at one time, weren't you?
Well, I did. I was actually on television. I worked for a little outfit back east, and our affiliation was through CBS. So I had done some on-air reporting, but I had done a majority of the videography, producing news segments. I was actually also part of the weekend news team producing group. So we decided how the stories were going to go, if something didn't flow right, if people weren't going to quite understand the importance and the impact of the story as it was written. We were a big part in changing that up and making sure that people understood that we were kind of looking out for their best interests. And somewhere along the way, it kind of changed into the point where it wasn't enough to carry you through your day, to carry you through your week, or even through the year. So I had to make a change. Honestly, it just was not the calling that I felt like I was intended for. Even though I made a lot of good friends, I still talk to several of them to this day. I just did not feel like it was the place where I was supposed to be.
Yeah, and you and I've talked before, and the way and how we place value on people, and certainly our connections. And it's really funny because we talk about connections quite a bit, and certainly in a networking group, probably more so than other channels, of people where people connect. But one of the things that I look at in the connections is I see a wide variety of how people actually embrace what connections are. And in this book, my intention is to create a space where it would tap into the emotional, it would attach it to the mental, but it also would inspire action, with those who would read the book. What are some of the reasons that got you involved in being a part of this book?
Well, I think when I had first heard about it, and it pretty much came to me that, everybody kind of operates in a rhythm or a cycle, and you're looking at the day to day. There are parts of your day where you're just fired up and you're energetic, and then there are other parts where you're more calm and reflective. And for me, getting from one phase to another is not always the easiest thing. And when you told me about the book, it turned a light on in my mind. And I said, this is the type of thing that I would pull out of my bag every day. And I would say, you know what? I need something to remind me of why I'm here. I need something to help get that energy level back up. And I could not think of a better way and a better format to do it. And with the variety of people we have in the iNetrepreneur Network, it is just amazing to kind of hear those different perspectives and see how it applies to you. And you may not take something 100% away from somebody. You may take 5% of that quote and really absorb and understand it. But meanwhile, others are just going to absolutely speak to you, and it's going to feel like it was carved into your soul, and it helps to just
Yeah.
bring you back to where you
Yeah.
should be.
And I've told this a couple of times. People ask me also why this book, what was the genesis of it, and I remember having a conversation because I do a lot of reading with my son Troy and also with Aiden. But Troy brought up something to me, and he talked about, we were talking about legacy, and sometimes he listens to some of the chapter meetings. He's here, he goes to homeschool, and we were talking about legacy, and he goes to me verbatim. He's like, I don't, he didn't understand why old people always talk about stuff. Why do old people always talk about stuff when we talk about legacy? He's like, shouldn't we be talking about, the training and teaching and giving knowledge as a way of creating legacy? And that was really the subject matter that we were talking about. And that's part of what got me thinking about this book is like, if we don't save the art of networking or the art of connections, being social beings, if we're not passing down this gift from one generation to another, it's like an art that will be lost forever. I mean, I worked in the internet marketing area. I've been computer programming, I've done coding, I've worked for these large companies, and AI is great, but my goodness, I don't want AI to take away from the humanity that we have through our traditions, called connections from generation to generation. And, I believe that you see that as well.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think having people remember you for the things that you've done and the positive and uplifting things that you have helped to influence and create is so much more generationally lasting than just a company that you may build. Even buildings crumble through time, plants live and die, but the legacy that you create through knowledge and through gifting people with a relationship and kind of sharing your experiences and letting their experiences shape you, I think is far more evergreen than anything that you can create, build, buy, or otherwise mold.
Yeah, and I think other aspects that we learn too is, you know people, if we don't concentrate on certain areas in our life, we tend to stop putting effort into them. And many times when I talk about connections, is if we don't put effort in our connections, we start to lose them. I mean, the role of connections is an active game. It's not a spectator game. And those who that really succeed, they keep building on their network day after day. And that's one thing that you do a really great job of, Dan, is you help people understand why connections matter, and you help install a belief system in the role of connections. And tell us some of the ways that you help train people around you to have a stronger belief system in what connections mean for them.
Well, it starts with one just simple thought. You want to be the type of person that everyone wants to be around. You don't want to be, really kind of dour and just low energy. At the end of the day, people look at it and say, they might not outright say, oh, this person didn't do anything to improve my day, but it's in the back of their mind. And so if you're a little more positive, if you try to make someone laugh every day, you try to
Right.
learn something every day, and if you try to just be that type of person that others gravitate towards, you're going to attract the right kind of people. Maybe not all the time, but you're going to attract the kind of people that are worth having in your life because you're going to learn something from them. They're going to learn something from you.
Mhm.
I think the total benefit of all the belief in connection is in reciprocity and just being able to share mutual experiences, share uncommon experiences, and then learn from both and how it can change us into being better people overall.
Yeah, I agree 110%. And you can feel good connections. That's what I love about in-person meetings, but you can also feel them through Zoom as well. And I call it the it factor. When people really connect you can feel that energy actually, even from across the room. You know they're connecting, you feel that energy, and many times it's like, man, how can I get some of that? I want some of that energy over with me, and whatnot. But I also want to let everyone know, tell us a little bit about your company, what you guys offer. I think it's very important because when we see pro AZ safety specialists, it doesn't necessarily speak actually what you do. And I think in this time of COVID, it's really important you explain your services so people understand.
Well, what we do is we come in and we try to make those spaces that you occupy in a given day safe, whether it's your home, whether it's your car, whether it's an office building or a suite that you're going to get things done. We come in with electrostatic disinfecting as well as other technologies, and we make sure that those nasty little germs that make people sick, that put people under the weather, are virtually eliminated, to where all you have to do is focus in on your everyday. You don't have to worry about those things about what am I bringing home to my family? What am I bringing home to my spouse? And on top of that, it's not just on the inside. You're also dealing with things on the outside. Our company, while we do specialize in the professional disinfecting end of things, we come in, we've helped people clean homes that they were moving out of, that they were moving into. We even pressure wash and power wash large areas, concrete, pool decks. We even have the right equipment to even clean your windows, to make life a little bit easier, to let that sun really kind of come in and brighten everything around you. We do our best to make sure that everyone can live their life as close to normal as they can right now in a safe manner.
And I think that's really important because people right now, they want safety, and they want to feel like, where they go and what they're doing, both matters. But there's nothing better than being a safe environment. I don't want to see people sick. I believe that people are healthy, can live much healthier and wealthier lives. And I'm glad you're helping us here in Arizona, our local community here, get to that point of being in a safe and clean. And, for you, when you come through that door with a smile, they've seen that friendly space. So Dan, thank you so much for being on the show today. And I have your name and your company and your phone number scrolling across. Any other ways that people could actually reach out to you and say hello?
Absolutely. They can always find us on Facebook. It's just under facebook.com/proazsafety, as well as on Instagram and LinkedIn. Easiest way to say hi to me directly, just say dan@proazsafety.com. Shoot an email or shoot a text to that number, and we're always happy to answer questions and talk to people, because I think at the end of the day, it is about talking to people and just making sure that they understand that we're here for a better purpose than just, to stay around and stick around and do nothing.
All right. Well, Dan, thank you so much for being on today. I'm sure we will have more conversations soon.
Thanks for having me on, Robert.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
Well, again, I want to say thank you to Dan coming on the show today. And I want to remind everyone, subscribe to our radio channel at YouTube, iNetrepreneur Radio. You can also like us on Facebook at iNetrepreneur Radio. Just type that into the search and our Facebook page will come up. And also, we have over 1,000 meetings and events every year at ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net. So you can find us and meet and greet and connect with a whole bunch of people by doing stuff. And again, I am thankful that you guys are all here today. Our next oh my goodness. Our next guest is Becky Norwood, and she has put in double time to get us launched off with this book called The Art of Connection. Becky, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Actually, I'm a little tired today. It was quite a wow, there's a lot to do to get this book out there and to the world, and all the little glitches that we had along the way.
Oh my goodness, I have to say I resemble that remark. this past week, it kind of reminds me of back when I used to be on stage. There was always opening night, and there was always a rush of feelings and emotions, getting to that point of, opening night. And what a wonderful time. But I am glad that you're today. For people, if they don't know yet, Becky Norwood with Spotlight Publishing was the publisher of the book Art of Connection, 365 Days of Networking Quotes by Entrepreneurs, Business Owners, and Influencers. I have her information scrolling across here. So Becky, tell me about your page. What day did you pick?
My day is August 14th, and that's because it's my birthday. So
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And my quote was, I believe every human has treasured gifts that the world's just waiting to learn about.
Yeah, I love that quote. So, do you remember how this whole book started? Do you remember how I came up to you and I said, I have this crazy idea about, trying to share back? And do you remember that at all?
I do remember that.
It's not that long ago, but it also feels like it was 5 years ago in certain ways.
Right. It was, I think the idea of it is brilliant. But when you first told me about it, my eyes went, that's a lot of work for a short amount of time, So what I'm excited about is this next year, is you've already started the process, which gives us a little bit of a little more time to work on it in the right way. But, this has gone together so beautifully. And I feel so honored and privileged to been able to be a part of this. And yesterday was incredibly fun because as I went through the book and made edits myself and started getting it laid out and everything, it was fun to not only really thought-provoking and pause for reflection as I read each person's question and thought and their thoughts behind it, and then their quote. But getting to meet a lot of them yesterday,
yeah,
first time, you have sometimes some of them had their image in the book, others did not. But putting all these faces together has been wonderful.
Well, and what's really interesting is I was able to read every word of the book, and there was 384 pages of book to read.
Yes.
And getting that transcript together. But what I found was remarkable is when I read the quotes, I actually read the quotes in my voice, unless I know the person, and I read the thought in my voice and then the question. And it was actually nice getting to see the authors that, I call it the thinker of thoughts, and being able to hear their voice now. Next time I actually go back and read the quotes, I'm not reading it in my voice anymore. I read it in their voice. And it really is really interesting to see that, because all of a sudden, the books go from, just words to the book's words go into experiences. And part of that is just, hearing the author themselves read it to me. And I think that that's almost magical when you actually get to meet the author. And that's what I love about today, with Zoom and whatnot. But you haven't always been a publisher. I feel like you've always been a publisher. This has kind of been, somewhat a new game, and you've really kind of taken off the last couple of years. And I've just been so impressed by how you take it all in. And I want to go back once. I actually, the second time is when you went crazy, because the first time it was just going to be quotes and thoughts and questions from me. It was the second time when I came back and it was like, well, why don't we do authors on all those pages? And you were like, what? We have no time.
And that's what I said. And it was funny because I've worked with others that have done compilation books that are maybe each person is taking a chapter. And I did one for Iman Okay on his Game Changer series, and there's 34 people that's 34 chapters and 2,500 words each. And that felt a little bit like herding cats. I mean, it's wonderful, it's fun, and I get such great connections. I really make so many good things happen, but it's a lot of work to put this in. And what I find is sometimes in the resistance to the mere writing of really putting pen to paper and putting their heart out there and really crafting the words in a way that will make a difference, there's sometimes resistance to that.
Yeah.
And it takes time to, to let it brew and everything. So it, in your book with one page each, it gave a lot of people the kind of the groundwork and the footprint for the first time, maybe, to be able to do something like that. But as they expand, I'm sure this is just opening door for other opportunities too.
Well, and this is what I found, even very quickly, people have already come back to me and they say, hey, are you going to have another book? People are coming back to me and they said, you know what, I only wrote a page in the book, but just that one page has changed their perspective to the point they say, I am ready to write my own book.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes that's what it is. It's like a person, I guess, maybe exercising for the first time, and it's like, what do they say? It just starts with putting on your shoes. You got to put on your shoes to start walking, and then all of a sudden they keep doing it. A year later, they're running marathons. And I think this book gives a lot of people a lot of courage. But we also had multiple successful authors in the books too. So I thought was really amazing. And they said they just want to be a part of it because they felt like, connections are everything, and certainly from an inspirational format. And that's really what it turned into, isn't it?
Oh, very much. And I just yesterday, after having to been able to read carefully each and every page that is in this book, being able to meet in our breakout sessions like we did, and actually connect and learn so much more about these people. It was just, it's all about the connection. We've had COVID, we've had all these things that's happened in our world in this past year. And yet, and still, how blessed we are that we are where we are today. Because if COVID had happened 10, 15 years ago, we wouldn't have had this awesome technology that we're using right now to keep interconnecting and expanding our reach. I mean, there were people from all over the place on that call yesterday, on that Zoom call, and it was going live. It was just amazing stuff that was happening. So, how blessed are we?
We are, absolutely. And other conversations that happened from that. I think about courage. I think about taking a step forward. I think about, the people who called. We probably would have made our mark if it wasn't for the markets and people who contracted COVID. And, it puts some of our deadlines, especially with Amazon. And a lot of people don't know that. And we actually had to push back the date a couple of times because production at the back end with Amazon was far behind. But what was really amazing, I didn't get a lot of people. I didn't get anyone actually saying, hey, wow, I thought you said it was going to be on a certain date, and why is it not? And I want my money back, or all these things that could have happened that you think, all that. I was thinking every time I sent something out. Well, it was only twice, but the 2 times I sent something out, my first fear is that there's going to be this big backlash.
Right.
And I really did, and I had to really set myself up, saying the right words in the right way at the right time. And instead of backlash, what I found was I found a lot of comfort and support. And that really blew me away. And it made me feel like the audience that we have in this book, The Art of Connection, is the audience that I want to be around. They understand that there is no perfection. And as an entrepreneur or business owner, you have to improvise and adapt. And I really learned a lot about people because of this book. And it really gives it a lot of meaning. When I see Art of Connection, I don't just see it, Becky. I feel that. And I think that I've seen that happen with both of us because it was a large undertaking. Tell me some other things that you learned from the book yourself as well.
The thought patterns and learning. I'm just trying to bring back some of these quotes. The thought about how we view money and how do we treat money. There was a number of quotes on money. There was quotes on and the things that are available to us, but there were quotes on just that mindset and the way that we're thinking and how we can grow and expand. And really, there was a lot of quotes about connecting, staying connected to each other, and how vital it is to our very well-being to be able to really make sure that we honor each other with our connections.
and other things, just the inspiration of, I was really amazed by, in such, like a 300 word area. That was the comment, about 300 words, that people are actually weaving stories of overcoming or fighting against the odds, or speaking from the point that I can do this, but you can too. I mean, for me, that was really inspiring, and many times I actually went back, believe this or not, I went back to the book and I just kind of read it, and it gave me, my wife gave me support, absolutely, but the words of the authors themselves gave me support to really push through too, because I feel like we did a year's worth of work in 2 months.
We did. But when you brought up a point there about storytelling, and I've worked with hundreds of authors, and one of the first things we talk about is the art of storytelling,
right?
And weaving out story, because story's been with us since the beginning of time. Story is part of the fiber of humanity, and yet there have been times I'll go to a restaurant and see entire families, and everybody's on their cell phones and they're not talking to each other, and this is not how. It's not conducive to taking care of each other and honoring each other, and all those generations that have passed on storytelling. And there was something else. There was a gentleman that's done Finding Your Roots on it's a TV series that he's got, and it's so amazing because he has interviewed a lot of very, very prominent people, both in government and movie stars, and they go back into finding their roots. And do you know what there's so many people have said? They don't know anything past their own parents.
Yeah.
Very few know anything past their grandparents. So I've asked the question, I had homeschooled my own children, and I asked the question, when I go back and study history, I'm going, wow, how did they know how did they know to pass this on and down, and where's the truth behind it? But what I found from watching this series on TV, from Finding Your Roots, is that how much is lost by not sharing stories. And how much
absolutely.
is gained by sharing stories. And when I can listen to a story or read a story, somehow it transforms it for me, because I begin to feel a part of it. I can relate to it. I understand. And when you weave that storytelling into maybe your area of expertise, and you show by the art of story why what you're teaching is so valuable, it makes all the difference. Then I can connect the dots in my heart and in my head.
Well, it really gives us, it's oral and written tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And being that I was a programmer and I worked with multinational corporations back in the day, we don't write the storytelling in it. Really, we don't have the oral traditions in the computer programming, the AI of it all. You don't, AI doesn't feel the passion. It doesn't smell, the roses or the cookies. It doesn't, sense what it means to be in love. And see, that's what storytelling does. It creates a place that only the human mind, the human being can understand at the deepest levels. And that's what I found out about this book. And many times my whole career was always about, be different, be different, be different, be different. And that's what we're all, trained to be. And, what happens is we all end up being the same. And this book, what it taught me is it's not about being different. It's actually about making a difference.
Absolutely.
The best way to be different, I would tell anyone from this point on in my life is just make a difference. The best way you can be different is just to make a difference, to have impact in other people's lives. Tell us a little bit about your business, Becky. I want people to know that are on the show. Tell us what publishing is, because I know sometimes, and I'll say this word, to a person out there, it looks like the sexiest thing in the world. You are a publisher and you get to make these beautiful books, and authors come and they throw down the most incredible stories, and every one of them is perfect, right?
Well,
And I always say it's like catering. People used to love it. I used to do wedding catering in San Diego, and people always thought you have the best job in the world. And I always used to think to myself, you didn't see the 90% of the work that got me to the 10% that you see where you say it's the best job in the world. There's so much more work to it than that.
Oh, there is. And for publishing, there's a ton of work. And I'm really different from maybe the traditional publishers. And I actually have a lot of authors who have gone traditional publishing coming to me, and they're not happy with what they've experienced. What our first conversation is, what's your big why? Why are you wanting to do this? And there's a lot of discovery with that. But then it's also, who are you writing to? And if you can hone it into that one person, then you'll find the many ones
Right.
will come behind it. And are you willing to stick with it? Because we can work. It's a lot of work to bring a book to the world. A lot of work. And, I always tell my authors, it's not for the faint of heart, because we can't be thin-skinned when it goes off to the editor after they've worked many times, sometimes years on this book. Then it goes to the editors, and the editors will say, well, this doesn't make any sense. And we got to reword this. And so one of the things that I started asking all of my authors to do is read every single word aloud. Take a chapter at a time, read that chapter, take it one chapter, read it aloud, and you will find tons of things that just don't quite make sense. It did when you were writing, but when we're writing, we're in a different kind of mode. We're in a different space. And so what I tell them is read it aloud well before we go off to the editor. And then, because there's this huge process. The other thing that we talk about a whole lot is the minute you put pen to paper or start tapping those keys, the marketing starts then.
Right.
That's starting your social media, getting yourself branded across the medias, talking about it, showcasing the book cover. And most publishers, book cover is the very last thing that gets done. With the way I work, I find it motivates my authors to get their work done by doing that book cover among the first things that we do. And it's like it just forms a spark, because they see it, they can feel it, they can start touching it. Then we create marketing images that they can use and add their own words to, and as we get ready for launch, we put a lot of the launch information on there. And then get booked on podcasts and get booked on TV shows and radio shows. Get yourself out there. Start your social media. Read a little clip out of the chapter and talk about it and invite conversation. These are the things that makes a book come to life. These are the things that help you stand apart and help people understand that they do know, love, and trust you, and they want to be a part of this. And people are wonderful. People will support that if you start sharing and share early.
And it really goes to show. I mean, it creates the meaning that is needed, for that book to actually touch someone and to say, I want to pick up and I want to dive into what this person is writing about. And I think that is a spectacular way. I mean, I always care about the why before I learn the what, and that's one of the things I usually do on the show is I always say a person cares more about your what if they know that care about your why. And I mean, quite frankly, I don't care about how most people do their stuff. That's why, you get hired, is to do that for them. But I do care why you want to do it, because those who care, I think they'll always do better, for the person they serve. And it really is a service environment, and beliefs do matter. Becky, tell us, I have your banner scrolling across the screen. Is there any other ways that we can get a hold of you?
Yes, I do have a website, which is spotlightpublishing.pro. On the site, I offer a free discovery call. So if you're thinking it's time to bring that book to the world, book an appointment with me. It's a good half-hour conversation where we really kind of explore what you're thinking. A lot of times we talk about what course do you have to back it up? How can you use this tool as this book is a tool for business growth. So that's the best way. And also Becky at spotlightpublishing.pro is my email. So if you want to reach out to me, I'd love to have a conversation about that.
Well, I'm really excited that you were here today. I know it was a lot to bring you on, especially after the last week or so and all the other book launches. I mean, I'd like to think that we were the only one, but I know we're not. So
I have a book launch a week right now.
And it's really hard to share you, quite frankly, but I've enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Becky.
Thank you for having me, Robert. It's been a really big joy to work with you and to see this come to life and to see the excitement and all that's gone on.
Thank you.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
I mean, I love radio shows because you get to learn so much about people. I mean, I've known Becky for a long time, but really actually getting to interview her and get to some insight on, what it takes to really get that book out there. And, the theme of the book, the person of the book, it all matters. You have to have that meeting. You have to have a belief that it's going to succeed and people are going to love it. And Becky helps the authors, get that belief. And she believes in connections. I mean, a book really is just a connection of the written piece of someone's soul, and someone else is able to pick it up. Another person who I really enjoy, Rich Parsons, he's our next guest on the show. And I really am excited about bringing Rich onto the show. Hey, Rich, how are you?
Hey, doing well, Robert. I hope you're doing well. Hope Sean's doing well.
We are both doing well. It's been quite a week to have the book launch and all the things that we're doing. We also have a magazine that's coming out, and you have a magazine that you publish as well. And what I like is your business name. You have a business, Higher Calling. And what I like about that is I didn't really talk about that yet, and I wanted to kind of save this to you. Is there were a lot of authors in the book that actually called upon the higher power of being the inspiration for them.
Right.
And when they felt they couldn't go any further, they called upon their own higher power, to keep them moving, and in their belief in family, their belief in God, their belief in just the love of humanity. And I really thought about that. What role does belief play in our connections? And it's a question that I've struggled with a long time. And and it's just really taken it one step at a time. And I believe that you help people in that same manner.
Yeah, definitely. And my business, it basically the genesis of it was that I believe that I have a higher calling in my life. And for the longest time, I knew that I wanted my business to have higher calling in it somewhere. And I believe that God does have a higher calling on me. And when I'm able to step into that, really it allows me to connect with people on a much different level. And I've seen that through the years. And it truly does all come down to connection. And in my belief, God called us to connect with people, not only to show them the light of the world, but to just be relational. And when we do that, we're a better community. We're better people. And if I can be a part of that and help people connect in a better way, then man, that's just that's a great thing to be and a great way to be.
Yeah. When you and I talked about your magazine, it has the word success. And to many people, they hear the word success, and the first thing that comes to many people, really, success is dollar signs. And not everyone, but for quite a bit of people, success means dollar signs. And I've been an athlete for much of my life, certainly in my younger days. And one of the things is it's always about winning. You got to be first, and you have to train the hardest, and you have to be around people that are going to make you sharper, let's say. So it's, a faster quarter mile, better baton passing. I ran track. And, what I like about business and what I like about the word success is, you can have a team of winners, as opposed to just one winner. And that's what I love. That's what I love about success versus winning. because success encompasses everyone. And, you know, before we get to the magazine, but I just wanted to kind of stage that out. You know, what day did you pick in the book? And do you have your quote?
Yeah, so I picked January 17th, and my quote, and I'll just kind of paraphrase it a little bit, is that people want to know the human behind the paper. And oftentimes we write things, be it our resume or our blogs or whatever. And I think that as we open up a little bit and get beyond just who we see on paper, what we read in a bio, that's where the connections really happen. Because if you think about it, if you think of any conversation that stands out in your mind as being memorable, most likely the reason why that conversation was memorable is because there was a connection, be it on a topic, a personality style, or maybe a common interest. And you only get to know those things when you open up and you're vulnerable enough to let your true self show and not just be this mask that you want people to see all the time, but truly be yourself. And that's when people get to know you. And I've experienced many times over the value of allowing people to know who you are and what you're about and not being apologetic about it at all and just being your true self, because people, when they get to know who you are and what you're all about, and like you said earlier, they get to know your why, they're much more likely to want to get to know you on a deeper level. And when that happens, you're able to influence people, you're able to impact their lives and really make a difference. Without the
Yeah.
connection, that's virtually impossible.
Well, you know, in our environments, you know, we both are, you know, fairly in the same circles, you know, fairly, you know, we want to impact people. We want to create
Hmm.
exposure. We want to, you know, deliver the goods, so to speak. But quite frankly, one of the things that a person has to have is they have to have alignment in their belief in what they do, and they have to have clarity in what they say.
Hmm.
And I really look at it this way. If you don't know your own personal mission, I mean, your personal mission in life, and I always say you are not your business, but boy, your business relies on you. You
Yeah,
know, it really
100%.
does for most of us. And but you got to align, and you have to have clarity, and you have to understand your mission, and then you got to create a message with that. And I think sometimes along there we get sold on the methods, meaning, you know, yeah, you have to, you know, you have to put yourself in a magazine, or you have to, you know, get yourself marketed in the digital environment, and you have to be on podcasts, and you have to do a lot of things. But I think at the end of the day, you know, what you really start with is, you know, are you working on you, the person, as much as you're working on your what you do?
Right.
And the book was really pretty incredible about that, because if a person is aligned with what they do, and they have clarity that it aligns with their why, like you said, you know, I think success comes much more rapidly. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely. And something that I want to point out about success is that, success is an individually defined thing, because success for me is likely going to be totally different than success for you or Sean or Becky or anybody, because we all have our own goals. We all have our things that we want to do and that we want to accomplish. And if I tried to measure my success based off of you or what you're doing, or, I've been in Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi's programs, and if I measured my success on the same level as theirs, I would pale in comparison. But for me, the success that I achieve is directly based on what I established as my goals that align with my purpose. And then when I'm able to step into that, that's where I feel success. And it can only be defined by the individual. There's others that can help, but the individual has to define what success is for them and them alone.
Yeah. And what attracted you to the book? Because we didn't, and this is really interesting because Dan I know and Becky I know, but we did not know each other before the book. And
Yeah.
really, it's like here's this guy in Arizona, and you're in Utah, right? And
Colorado.
and or, I'm sorry, Colorado Springs. Yes, Colorado.
Yep.
Colorado Springs is in not Utah, but um, you know, you said yes. I want to be a part of that. I mean, really, there's a belief and there's a leap of faith to say, sure, I'm gonna put myself in this book with people I don't know, but heck, I'm gonna do it anyway. What really stirred you to action?
Well, I found out about the book and the opportunity through a mutual friend of ours, Don McGrath, and when he introduced me to the opportunity, I know the value of being in front of people, in front of a large audience, and getting exposure. And the topic really resonated with me because I truly believe in connection. And I feel as though if I had to say that I had a superpower, my superpower is that I'm a connector, be it with
Right.
myself connecting with other people or knowing how to connect people with others. It's like when people speak to me, I know uh, names and things always come up that, you know what, I need to get you in touch with so and so. Just like happened recently with a mutual friend of ours, Diana Hooker. We were able to, she was in my magazine this month in the February issue. And I was like, you know what? You need to be connected with Robert because he has got a good thing going there. And we know Kimberly Miner, who had some great success out of your magazine. And I just see Diana having the same results. And so, anyway, just being involved with like minded people for a like minded, worthy cause is, I mean, that's to me what it's all about. And then having the chance to do that in a collaborative way and be with, what'd you say, 185 authors in a global
Yep.
audience, a global group of authors, co-authors, that's just a great opportunity. And I had to jump on it.
Yeah, and it really does. They say my dad always told me this phrase. Birds of a feather flock together, and it doesn't mean that they don't get their feathers ruffled
Yeah.
sometimes, even if they're in the same flock. I mean, things do happen, but but deep down, if you have a community of heart-like people, right? Not just like-minded, but
Yeah.
like-hearted people, it really makes a difference. And earlier in the show, I talked about like there was a couple of times I had to do the hard decision of letting everyone know we're not going to have this book come out on time.
Hmm.
And the first time frame I pushed it back 2 weeks, but the distribution and production centers were so far behind, and that was COVID around the world, and we pushed it back another month after that. But there wasn't the backlash. There was a support, and I really truly believe that support was there because we are a heart. How would I say? Heart-minded or audience, or
Like-hearted.
I like-hearted. I'm making up a word as I go here. I
Yeah.
think a like-hearted audience, and many things I saw in the book. When I do some training, sometimes I talk about heart set, mindset, and skill set. I
Hmm.
said, you'll have a much harder time with your mindset and your skill set if you don't have the right heart set first. That really
True.
is the first place to start. And you know, I'm going to be in your issue, one of your issues in Success Magazine. I'm really excited about that because we get to help each other deliver messages
Hmm.
together, and I think that's something as well. Just like with this book, tell us a little bit more about your magazine and who are you looking for to be a part of that magazine?
Excuse me. Yeah. So, you're going to be in my magazine coming up, and I'm going to be in your magazine.
Yes.
So it's just a really good synergy there. And so, what the magazine, Your Success, is an e-magazine that is developed for entrepreneurs and business professionals across a variety of fields. Mostly, I find that people in the entrepreneurial and business professional areas are really or developing in entrepreneurship, networking, business, and leadership and wellness. And those are fields that people don't have to necessarily be in those fields, but just as an entrepreneur and a business professional, they're able to speak something in one of those areas, all under the theme of success. Because when we talk about our own success, we talk about the success of others and how we've had people help us out along the way, there's a growth opportunity there. So, I would encourage people that, they may say, well, I don't necessarily feel that I have anything to offer. I would beg to differ, because what you often have to offer may be the most intangible thing, and that is the gift of knowledge. Because when we share knowledge with other people, they grow from it. And that's really the whole purpose behind this. It's not my magazine, because I do very little.
Rich, we lost your sound. Oh, there we go.
I think.
Yep.
So I have the opportunity to help people get their voice out, and that gives them the ability to influence other people. And if people want to get involved, they can do that through contributing. They can subscribe, which is really one of the greatest free things they can do, is subscribe to the e-magazine so that they can learn and grow with other entrepreneurs.
Well, I really enjoyed you coming on today and getting to know you very quickly. And I think when you do have alignment and you speak from the heart and you have belief, especially when that aligns and our purpose is very well defined, I think we can speed to our success much faster. I have your banner scrolling across the screen just a little bit. Are there other ways that we can get in touch with you?
Yes, definitely. So one thing I'd like to offer to people, and they can connect with me on the phone number there. They can text or call. But one of the big things I'd like to offer anybody listening to this is a free mini course that I have. Is called Mindset Inventory Exercise. It's part of a larger course called Master Your Mind. But the Mindset Inventory Exercise is a great 3-step process that people can use to start the recognition aspect of the 3 R's to a renewed mind. And the first 5 people that reach out to me at the phone number listed there, 719-679-3191, or they can get me at 719-896-1188. If they text to me, hashtag M as in Mary, Y as in Yankee, M as in Mary, the first 5 people will get a free code to the full Mastering Your Mind course, which is $147 value. So definitely reaching out to me by phone is probably the easiest way, and then we can start a conversation from there.
All right, and after the show is over, go ahead and jump back in the Facebook and go ahead and put that in the comments on the show, so
Sure
that
will.
way that would be really great. Well, Rich, I appreciate you being on the show today. It was good. I mean, this is really I feel like our first face-to-face talk. We've been on the phone a few times, and
Yeah.
I just have to keep remembering that Colorado Springs is in Colorado, not Utah, right?
That's right. We both get snow like we did the past couple days, but next to each other.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being
Yeah.
on the show today. I appreciate you, Rich.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, everyone, thank you, all our guests, Dan Khuu, Becky Norwood, and Rich Parsons, for being on the iNetrepreneur radio show. I just want to remind everyone once again to subscribe to our radio channel. It's youtube.com/iNetrepreneur radio. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/iNetrepreneur radio. And find us at ntevents.net, which might be just really the best place of all, because then you can just hyperlink. You don't have to worry about spelling there, just ntevents.net. Well, I want to thank everyone that's been on the show today. You guys matter to me, and you are creating impact and connections in this world in a time that it's very, very needed. I want to thank you all. Please come each week to the show. We are here every Thursday from 2:30 to 3:30 Mountain Standard Time, also known to us as Arizona time. Have a great week, everyone.
You've been watching the iNetrepreneur Show, a production of the iNetrepreneur Radio Network, with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.